Hi, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. My name's Stephen, the host of the Endless Celts Podcast, and I'm joined by my deadly duo partner, Francis. How are you?
I'm all good, Stephen. Back up from London, back in the house again, so all good.
All good, man. And we have company with a show regular, William. How are you, William?
I'm very well, mate. Glad to be back on.
That's good. I mean,
Sick
Ross
of
is
listening to
in.
yous two.
So am I.
Duo is a trio now. I mean, Ross
Yeah.
joined us. That was a crowd. Now William's in, so it's an even bigger crowd. But we'll crack on. And the good news is football is back. Club football is back in the weekend. But before we touch upon that, obviously Scotland were involved in some crucial games. William, the win against Israel, and then the followed up by the win against the Faroe Islands, which kind of puts them in a great position for the second place spot for the qualifications to the World Cup, and they're seeded as well if they get to that. So that's a good thing. But coming to yourself, me and Francis talked about this in the last show in terms of the international break and what it meant for Scotland. How did you feel as a Scotland fan with them fixtures? Do you think this is kind of nailed on the second spot?
Yeah, I think so now. The Israel game was massive. I know international football's not for everybody, but for me, I've touched on it loads before. It's a massive fan of it. I think to represent your country's the biggest accolade you can get in sport, in any sport. So for us to see the team doing well over the past few years under Clark, we don't do it easy, but it was fantastic. The last two games, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's just that all we need now is a win over Moldova, who are rock bottom of that group. I think they've had 1 point in the 8 games and conceded about 28 goals. So no doubt we'll get pumped 5-0 off them and need to beat Denmark away, Denmark at home to get through. So, but surely we've got to do it now, and you would imagine, hopefully we get through the playoff and back to the promised land again in another World Cup after making the Euros, being away for a major tournament for so long. It's just great time to be a Scotland fan.
Yeah, as you said, follow up with the Euros to the World Cup. I think that'll be every Scotland fan's dream, wouldn't it? And just everything from us guys at the Endless Celts Podcast. Well done to Scotland. They're in a great position, and we do hope they go on to qualify. But as I said at the top of the show, club football's back. Our priority, Celtic Football Club, visit Fair Park against Motherwell on Saturday, Francis. And we have alluded to this over the last couple of the podcasts, but every game now is a must win. I mean, dropping points at any stage for Celtic's a disaster, but even more so in terms of the start we made, especially our away form. We won away to Aberdeen. Many fans believe that could be a springboard, but me, myself, I'm a wee bit more pessimistic in terms of what it could actually mean. Aberdeen were poor that game. I think the game in general was poor. And we're going into the Fair Park game, 1 win and 3 away games. Still isn't good. It's not good enough as a Celtic fan, or the players playing for Celtic need to improve in that form. But get into the game, how you feeling?
I'm actually feeling pretty confident, Stephen. Like, if you go back the sort of 10 or 12 days before you play Aberdeen, we'd have probably been looking at our next 3 fixture away from home, Aberdeen, Motherwell, and Hibs all away, going, but have we got to win any of these games? And you would have maybe said, you could have made an argument for not winning any of them. But I think the Aberdeen game, it's got the monkey off the back. It's Postecoglou's first domestic away win. And then the manner of the win, it wasn't pretty, but it showed that Postecoglou can adapt and play, like, win a game ugly, I feel like. So I'm hoping it gives us a wee bit of a boost to going into the Motherwell game and saying, well, I've got a wee bit of confidence. It's always good going into an international break on the back of a win as opposed to a disappointing defeat. Ideally, after that Aberdeen game, you'd have obviously wanted to be sticking to league football, but it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm fairly confident going into it, Stephen. I think the players will take a lot of confidence with that Aberdeen game.
I think as well, another thing to point out, I mean, this is no disrespect to Motherwell, but William, their pitch has grass now. And for years and years, the surface at Fair Park's been atrocious. And as Francis said, after that Aberdeen game, you're hoping to stay in club football, but the break does break up momentum in terms of what we can achieve at Fair Park. And I hate speaking like this as a Celtic fan, because a game like this should be, no disrespect to the game, but easy to win for Celtic. I don't get the whole notion, and I said to you guys before that it's a transition, therefore it's an excuse to lose away or drop points away or lose at home, vice versa. I think Celtic should be strong enough and capable enough to beat teams in the SPL. Every team really. I think the Rangers team's poor this season. We need to take advantage of that. But these are the games that are vital at Weatherford Park in terms of picking up points, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. I'm feeling like Franny, fairly confident. I thought I don't think it mattered how we won it at Aberdeen, and if anything, it's shown us a different side to the team. Like Franny's saying, it's I think if we went out and won 5-0, it wouldn't have shown us as much as what we did grinding out the result. I think at that position at 1 each at the tail end of last year, I don't think we would have went on to win that game. The heads would have went down, but keep persisting, keep moving forward. I think the international breaks come at a decent time, to be fair. I think the squad is wearing a bit thin, so and a week or so for the guys that are recovering to come back. And I expect us to be ready to go on Saturday and get a comfortable 3 points. Well needed 3 points.
It is well needed. I mean, to climb up the table, I'm just looking at it now. Motherwell are in fourth and on 14 points. We're sixth on 13 points. And even saying that, it's a bit drastic, isn't it, Francis? And as William says, as actually as both say, the confidence needs to be there to go into these games. And obviously, off the back of Scotland's form in the World Cup qualifiers, you've got the likes of McGregor and Turnbull coming back into the team. And then you've got Beaton coming back in, albeit his Israel side had a bad time against Scotland. But do you think, in terms of the break, it can be good for the players left there to focus on Postecoglou's style? Because we've seen the likes of Giamacas come in, Jota will be still at the training ground, even 10 days, whatever it was, to bed them in even more, plus the guys coming back. It can only bode well, can't it?
Well, you'd like to think so. I mean, some of these guys may have got a couple of days off at this after the Aberdeen game just to say, like, go away, chill out and stuff, then come back, then we'll do a week of training while these guys are away. So you've got, it's another week with guys like Giakoumakis, Jota, and some of maybe, I don't know if guys like Mikey Johnson and that come back, Julian, how fit he is to be back at training. So it's sort of it's more time to sort of impose your philosophy in that on the team, how you want to play without actually having to worry about a game as such as maybe sort of planning for a team and stuff and thinking too much about maybe set pieces. You can more work on the shape where you want to be on and off the ball and stuff. So it's maybe as a good point you're making there, where the international break maybe has came at a good time and stuff. So it should give you a good chance to get like your guys that went away in international duty and some of the guys that were recovering from injury, because I don't know if Juranovic actually went away with Croatia or not. I don't know how his injury was to allow him to do that. So it gives guys time to come back, and Scales unfortunately went away and never got a game, so he'll still not be ready for a game.
I see that whole Liam Scales thing. I seen that today, that he went all the way to, was it Qatar that Ireland were playing? So all the way over there, William, for a game, and he doesn't get played. Unnecessary travel. I mean, again, the time differences within the two countries must be drastic. I'm not an expert in that. Someone can correct me. But do you not think that we discussed this previously, but see them international breaks, see for the players who aren't actually going to physically play, do you think they should actually travel? Because if you're going to Qatar, it was a friendly as well. Surely he should get some minutes in his legs.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I suppose it's down to the club and the national team to discuss that. But again, yeah, barking up the wrong tree with me, international football, for me, if I was a player, I'd be wanting to go, even if I wasn't guaranteed a start, I'd be wanting to go and try and prove myself and get in that squad. So I would be going every game. But I do understand what you're saying. Flying all that way for hee-haw and coming back, especially the likes of Scales, he'll be looking to break in the side. So, at 10 days back at home with Postecoglou, getting to see what he can do, might have boosted his chances, especially seeing as at left back we're a bit short now. So yeah, I do hear where you're coming from, but international football, it's part and parcel. That's what it is. It's modern day.
It is modern day, but it's a bit drastic to be travelling to Qatar for a football match. But see, touched upon the game, Franny, in terms of we go into it obviously off the back of the tournament as we alluded to, but going to Fir Park, there's been some cracking games in that. There was a 4-4 as well. And do you think it's going to be an entertaining game? Because by all accounts, Graham Alexander, they were on a good run. I think it was 6 games unbeaten. Tony Watt's been scoring goals. And it's good to see him actually scoring goals because he had a lot of potential, Celtic, and I think that goal against Barcelona kind of, I don't know, not ruined his career for Celtic, but it kind of got to his head in a way. But are you expecting an entertaining fixture?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if saying I don't want it to be entertaining is a good thing, Stephen. Because I want it, like most games, I want them to be drama-free Celtic games. Nice with comfy 2-0 wins would do me to the end of time, if you like. Anything after that's a bonus, I guess. But it's got the potential to be an entertaining game. If Celtic can get the ball down, playing and Kyogo's on form and stuff, we all know we could score quite a few goals and stuff, and we are a wee bit suspect still defensively. So there's a chance of us conceding goals. So I think sort of for every Celtic game now, as much as we haven't played great lately, like we've not really done the high pressing. That was actually, I think it was the Livingston game when we were in the pub, me and William actually mentioned it then, how we can't actually remember the last time we done that. But so it has got the potential, but I think you could sort of say that for Celtic now, in every game it's got the potential to be a brilliant game because Postecoglou wants to go sort of all out attack, but it leaves us a bit suspect at the back as well. Questions are still asked there, so I'm hoping it's fairly drama free, Stephen, but it has, as I say, just the way Celtic are now, it has got the potential to be entertaining for the neutral, shall we say.
Drama free and Celtic in the same sentence. Never heard it before, Francis. But yourself, William, what kind of game are you expecting?
Yeah, I'd imagine there'll be goals. Like Franny said, we've looked shaky at the back. Every time there's a ball over the top and Starfeld's there, I'm frightened to death. And this set piece situation is most definitely not going away either. So we are suspect to ship in a goal. Fortunately, we've looked very good going forward. So as long as the guys produce, I would imagine that we should come away with the win. But yeah, it could be anything, isn't it? We've had all sorts of scorelines this season, for 6-0s to 0-0s and all sorts. So yeah, it could be a matter. It could be any scoreline. But I would imagine I would say Motherwell are going well, but I'd say we'll score a few goals. I know we'll go to predictions later on, but hopefully we can score a few goals. I hope there's not any international hangover. Like you say, it's not just Scales going away. Whenever Kyle goes away, it's away the other side of the world, and Rogic and co as well. So hopefully there's no hangover for that, because the squad is still fairly thin. But there should, like you say, Stephen, there should be more than enough in the tank, even if we're playing fringe players, to put teams like with the most respect, like Motherwell away. So yeah, looking forward to seeing the Hoops back in action on Saturday again.
Definitely. I'm glad you mentioned Kyogo there. He actually scored a winning goal against Tom Rossi's Australia, so I'm sure he'll be bouncing with confidence, and Rossi's maybe not so, but see that again at Fair Park. But look, Celtic and rumours, Twitter especially, goes mad. And over the last couple of days, I mean, ever since we talked about it on the podcast about the takeovers and in terms of the Newcastle deal, where they became de facto richest club in the world by billions and billions of pounds. And there's been a rumour slowly drip fed into the Twitter sphere. And I'm sure some Celtic fans are aware of it, some are not. And it is, I don't know if it's concrete or whatever. They've seen people say Red Bull, who are kind of owners of Red Bull Salzburg and RB Leipzig in Germany and Austria respectively. But coming to yourself, Franny, in terms of this rumour about Red Bull potentially investing in Celtic in some sort of capacity, would you think that would be a good thing? I've seen people obviously say they're interested in naming rights of the stadium, the change name of the club and the crest and things like that. But what would be your take on it if it was concrete?
Well, I was probably similar to what I was when we sort of were hypothetically speaking about your big oil-rich guy coming in and buying Celtic. Morally, I would like to say I wouldn't be happy with Stephen, but I think anybody that's willing to put money into Celtic, I would probably welcome them regardless of who it is. It's sort of the fickleness of a football fan. It's, well, we tend to let some things slide when they're putting money into a club, and that I would. Obviously, it's hard to talk too much about it because, yeah, it's a rumour. We don't know at what sort of level they want to invest. Like, I don't believe we'll ever become like Red Bull Celtic. maybe it is just got to be a shirt sponsor. Will we get naming rights to the stadium? Possibly could get naming rights to the stadium. It seems the common sort of thing to do is name your stadium, but I still believe people will know it as a Parkhead, and nobody will really announce, say, oh, I've got the Red Bull Arena or whatever it's got to be called. Like, fans will still call it Parkhead. Yeah, it'll be maybe when you're on TV, like in Europe and stuff, it'll be shown as the Red Bull Arena, but it's just one of them. It's the I probably would welcome it, yeah, if there is everything in it, but I don't know if it's just, there is a lot of rumours going about if people want to, well, I'll say a lot of rumours, there just seems to be wee snippets of things come out, because there was a guy last week, I think, he used to be on the board at the SPFL, I think, maybe a wee while ago now, but he said he wants to buy Celtic in the future and stuff. So I don't know if it's guys out with Celtic looking in are seeing that obviously Dominic Mackay's left, the boy Nicholson's came in as a temporary CEO, but we're not seeing anything coming out of these guys. Maybe just try, because Celtic are kind of performing not too bad. We're picking up results and fans are sort of not off the board's case, but they're not on it as much. So they maybe just try to get it in their minds that like there's still issues up above and it needs to be dealt with. But yeah, I'm fickle in the sense, Stephen, that anybody that's wanting to invest in Celtic, I'm a wee bit, obviously within reason, I'm probably in the main going to ignore some of their stuff, what they're all about.
I know, I do get what you mean, and the guy you're alluding to there was Roger Mitchell. He was actually
That's it.
The SPL around about the 2000 era, so he's got history within the league, and he has come out and said in the future, not now, he would be interested with a bunch of investors to buy Celtic, that kind of thing. But the whole Red Bull thing, I think you make a great point in terms of naming rights and things like that. Now, the same RB Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg, I mean, the name's pretty clear of what they are, and in Germany it caused a big uproar, William, when Red Bull got involved with Leipzig. They sort of became the outside kind of team because they're like 50% owned by fans, and RB Leipzig the only team with full investment from Red Bull. But coming to what it could mean hypothetically, again, this is just a rumor that we're kind of feeding off in terms of what it could mean for Celtic, and people need to kind of get real, because Dermot Desmond, the other guy, Nick Train, who's from an investment firm, they're the two biggest shareholders within Celtic, and they're not going to be around forever. The investment firm want to make money for themselves, and then they'll cut and run. Dermot Desmond's getting older in his years, unless he's thinking about handing it down within the family. But again, we've seen how disastrous that can be in terms of the Kellys when they're involved with Celtic. So I don't think that's a road many Celtic fans would want to go down in. And the Red Bull thing is fresh, but again, it is kind of the unknown, because people are saying already that you see that the likes of comments are getting put up. Can never happen. Celtic lose their morals, their identity of what they're from in terms of what they were built upon, William. But sometimes, just sometimes, you have to get real, I think.
Yeah, it's a tough one when it comes to the Red Bull situation. I think if it was another billionaire owner wanting to put all his money in, I love this club, and if I had the opportunity to see the best players in the world play for this club, then I'm more than all for it. But like you have touched on, I would draw the line at these naming, if we had to be called Red Bull, Celtic or whatever. I think I would have to draw the line at that. And yeah, I'm just not for that at all. And the stadium as well. I don't know. It doesn't feel right. Like you said, I'm not so sure. I think it's a bit strong talking about like going against morals and stuff like that. But it just wouldn't sit right with me, I don't think. If it was like hypothetically like the Newcastle situation where it was just an owner coming in with a big pot of gold, then oh yeah, 100%. Let's see it. Let's see some of the biggest and best players come to the club. It's football nowadays. Money is football, and we can't compete. We've banged on about how some of the best nights of our lives watching our team is in Europe and in the Champions League against the biggest and the best, and we clearly cannot compete with these guys. I mean, we were punching above our weight before, but now we're struggling in Europa Leagues, and and we're nowhere near the sort of teams that we were 10 years ago or plus 10 plus years ago, when we were inviting the likes of Barcelona's and AC Milan's and beating them, and they were scared to come to us. They're not scared anymore. SPL teams aren't scared to come to our ground anymore. Investment and money is football nowadays. It's as much as you can put any twist you want in it. And I'm old school. I'm an old romantic. I love the fact that we bring players through in the youth, and I would love it if these guys were capable and good enough. But that's not football nowadays. It's just money. And if you want to compete at the highest level and you want to see the best of the best, you need to have money. And to do that, it seems like you need Saudi owners. So if it happened, then great. But yeah, to go back to this Red Bull, well, you know what I'm like with rumours and all that anyway. But I would definitely draw the line at
do you need the two Bills at Side Park? Could be a flag.
I would have to draw the line at the rename and stuff. I couldn't. It wouldn't sit right.
Well, put it like this, just to go back into there, for example, the training ground, Lennoxtown, right, as it's called at the moment. Just for example, the Red Bull Training Academy, Red Bull Training Ground. Would you accept the likes of that? If it's
that wouldn't be so bad.
I don't think Red Bull would want that. They'd want the name.
Stadium,
want the stadium.
It's the stadium and the team name, and you can't touch the crest of that. That's just sacrilege. Do not touch the badge. Do not touch anything like that. Do not touch the name. So, yeah.
Like I would be against the naming rights of the stadium, but I can see it happening. I could see it happening. I could deal with it. I'm a wee bit different for William there. I could deal with that in the sense that it's, for me, that's the way football's going. It's like William said, it's a business, it's money, it's a business. This is the way Red Bull would look to make money off it by naming the stadium, I feel like. But I personally wouldn't like that, but it's one of the ones I would sort of accept it to an extent.
One of the things William touched upon there, and quite rightly so, was that being the football romantic as you are, William, you said about the youth coming through Celtic. You like to see that, like to see likes of Kieran Tierney, Sean Maloney, McGeady, them types of player bursting through Celtic's ranks. But one thing I've noticed, a trend, Francis, within the Red Bull clubs is, and it's quite easy to say as an outsider, they buy potential and sell it on for an astronomical fee. And Celtic kind of do that, but to a lesser extent. Now, just for example, if the likes of Red Bull or whoever came on board, because I do believe one day it's going to happen, we're not going to be stuck with Dermot Desmond and all these randomers who own 3, 4, 5% of Celtic Football Club. One day it's going to be revamped and it's going to be a new owner entirely. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. But if an investor came on board, regardless of who it is, if that's the kind of model that they sell to Celtic, is that not something you could accept in terms of going forward? And obviously, for me anyway, football comes at a price now, regardless. And you look at Newcastle, again, richest club in the world, but it came out of nowhere. That deal was dead, and the next minute it was alive again, and they were bought in a matter of days. And it looks like they're going to go on to buy all the best players in the world. But again, as William alluded to, football is money.
I'm more with William in the sense that you like seeing your own players coming through because you can relate to them. We all wish it was us. So the next best thing sort of for a fan is a homegrown player coming through and making it in the team, and that you, like we've said plenty of times, you give these guys more time to sort of adapt and get into the team, and that you feel like you're one of them, you're protecting them and stuff like, and you're proud of them. But to use the sort of Red Bull model with your Salzburgs and Leipzigs and that the type of players they bring on and stuff, like their sort of philosophy is obviously it starts at Salzburg, goes on to Leipzig, then it's on to bigger and better things from there. But like, I'm not saying we've got to get your Haalands and Sabitzers and stuff like that, but if you're going to attract, you might get one or two, something like that down the line. I mean, probably not Haaland. These players are quite rare, but some of these players that you could potentially get if you did become a sort of in the Red Bull franchise in some ways, it could make for exciting times. Like even just like what William was saying in Europe and stuff, where we aren't competing where we should be competing in Europe, and you could get players that'll take you back to the levels that you really should be at Celtic. So I'm with you, Stephen, in the sense that one day one day we will be owned by someone else. The logic would kind of tell you that like you said, it could go down to the family. Would it? I don't believe it would. So the way it is going, it does seem to be corporations, I feel like, or if you're really lucky, countries buy you. So it seems somewhere down the line that it could be that sort of thing. But to use the sort of Red Bull model in the sense of the way they bring players through it, I think it could bring exciting times back at Parkhead, but equally could be to the detriment of some homegrown talents.
Well, again, the counter to that argument, if we had a wealthy owner, regardless of whatever franchise they're from, this is hypothetically speaking, low some Celtic fans will roll their eyes because we've been over this before, but we would probably have the likes of John McGinn. Do you know what I mean? The likes of Ivan Toney. That extra 500 grand would be a dip in the ocean to people like that, instead of our board, William, who are the biscuit tin method, who it never works. The odd time they get a gem, but that's from previous chief scouts like John Park, who did a great job, but we're kind of seeing the kind of benefits of not having him now when we're getting one in about 50 players that actually hit the mark and are so long for a sizable fee. But you look at it as well, William. Now you made a point there in terms of like the likes of, I know you said it was harsh saying morals, but along them lines of Celtic are founded on charity, that type of thing. And a lot of misconceptions is these wealthy owners come in and it's all about making money for themselves, pumping money into the club, and they leave the community behind. But I use an example of the Manchester City owners, and they built a whole community around about the Etihad, the training facilities. They've built community house, they've built schools, they've built kind of park facilities, leisure centres. There is benefits to that, and if that can eat into the Celtic kind of model and the charity, surely that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, it's true. It depends who you get. I think if it was in an ideal world, we would all have owners like Leicester City, who I think they're just the cream of the crop. They're exactly what you're talking about the community and putting things back into the city and what they've done at Leicester is incredible. So in an ideal world, something like that would be perfect. But yeah, like you say, like I've said, you can't do anything in football without money. And you're right about these players that we're missing out on. And not only that, I think if you look at all the bigger names or the more successful names that have came to us in the past, I think the attraction has been the manager, and we've not been able, with all respect to Big Ange, I'm his biggest fan. I think he's been great since he's came in, but he's not a big name. And the fact that we went through that whole summer and the names that were touted, we talked about it all summer, all the start of the season, the tail end of last season. The fact that we couldn't attract a typical big name in inverted commas. If you can't get a big name manager or somebody that's like that, then how are you meant to attract big name players also? So that's another factor. But yeah, at the end of the day, for me, if investors are interested, you've got to hear them out, because like I said, football is money and we're not competing at the level we should be competing at. And if billionaires are wanting and are interested, and we can get to see the sort of calibre of player that, I mean, these teams, look at like Newcastle's a perfect example. 2 weeks ago, they're thinking about relegation, and they've been up and down. The last 10 years or so, they've been up and down relegated, and now their future looks like it's Man City, technically, and more. Man City, however many years ago, were in relegation battles or relegated or not even in the top league, and now can you imagine that being a certain age, even our age, or in your 40s, and you've seen all that doom and gloom and the worst, and you've supported your team, and now you're seeing the best players in the world playing for your team. It's night and day. So if investment came along, you can't ignore it. But I would say the naming rights thing would stick with me. You can't change the crest, you can't change the name. That's your foundations, and that's what you remember, and that's the club you love. So I wouldn't be wanting to change any of that stuff. But if these guys that were after Newcastle came in last week, then I'd be sitting here the happiest man on the planet, because the future looks bright. Because at the moment we can't even attract decent players that were or big name players. Like before this summer, the signings we've made, yeah, there's a couple of them you would have been able to name, but you wouldn't even. I didn't know who Kyle. Kyle has been an unbelievable signing. We'd have signed him for 50 million if we had to pay it. But 2 weeks ago, a few months ago, I didn't even know who he was. You know what I mean? So I can't remember us being linked with names that are players that you know of. It's always, and we have been like that for the last however many years, bringing the likes of Van Dijk in and then moving on. So it is true what you're saying, Stephen, about this model. We do it, but it's to a much smaller scale. Again, either like the Red Bull model, and Fanny touched on it. Borussia are another one. They're getting the likes of Haaland in, selling them on, Sancho's, all the rest of it. So it's a no-brainer for me. If you can get the money and you can get top talent and top players to come, and we get to watch that week in, week out, then I don't understand why you would make an argument against it.
No, and you can't tell me as well. I don't know what you guys' opinion are, but Newcastle, apart from the league they're in, now that's probably the only factor here, are never a bigger investment opportunity than Celtic Football Club. I'm not banning that. It's just purely.
I think the reason they're targeted it. I mean, they've already got a beautiful stadium intact, a massive fan base. That like historically they're not. You know what I mean? They've not really won. They've been close, but they've not really won. I think it's just the place they are as well. Very central in the UK, and it's number one in the list. You're bang on, Stephen. It's just a league they're in. We can't compete with that. Can't move leagues. So the league they're in, that's where everybody wants to be, the English Premier League. So
I heard on TalkSport, I think it was yesterday, I was driving in the car, and the Premier League get £8 billion shared among them for a TV deal. That's absolutely incredible. But look, I'm going to put you two on the spot here, okay? I'm going to come to yourself, Francis, first. Now, you've been appointed the de facto Celtic manager just for now, for the next 2 seconds, or however long it takes to answer this question. I hand you 100 million as your chairman. 2 players you would bring in. Who would they be?
But I take it for
100 million is not enough.
I know.
Right, 200 million.
You're getting them in regardless. You're not having to worry about leagues and that.
No,
if 200 million, I think 200 million gets you Mbappe and Haaland.
Well, 100 million each? No chance.
Well, Mbappe's out of contract at the end of the season.
I would just get
Haaland in the summer, you can get him for, I think it's around about 67 million. Granted, every man and his dog's got to be in for him, but that was my question, Stephen. There was not any connotations in that. There was, who would you get? I was getting no competition, so I'm going for Haaland and Mbappe.
William, same question to yourself. What we're going with?
I would have to go Haaland as well. I think he's the biggest pro. I still don't know why nobody paid through the nose for him this summer. He's the biggest prospect in football. He's probably the best finisher on the planet, I think. And he's, 21 or something like that? Bonkers. I would have him, and I would have to stick De Bruyne in there as well, even though he's aging. The boy is just it's like he's on a different planet. It's just on a different planet. I actually went to Hampden last year, 2 years ago, in the qualifiers, and Belgium beat us 5-0, and I think De Bruyne had a hand in every goal, and for about an hour of the game, I didn't even watch the game, I just watched him, and it's like Federer on a tennis court. He just floats about there. He's on a different planet to anybody in world football, I think.
Can I change Haaland? Like I think Haaland's brilliant, but I would have to keep Mbappe because I just think he's the closest thing to Ronaldo, the original one. But I would go and get Carty. We need a central midfielder. Remember that.
You're thinking with your head there like that. So
after it was an afterthought. So that's how I've not got 200 million. You're
going with Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah,
he's at least went midfield as well. I'm going Carty and Mbappe. Although I think Haaland's a bigger prospect and probably score more goals. Mbappe reminds me of Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, and I just love him for that.
I would have to bench Haaland though and give him 20 minutes a game because you're not taking Kyogo off.
Oh,
Yes.
so back up.
Mbappe could have been the new Eddie, but I mean, in a world like that, could you imagine waking up as Celtic fans and signing players? Like the fact that we're speaking about 200 million only being able to afford you 2 world-class players, that's crazy.
Doesn't even get you that. Real Madrid offered 200 million for Mbappe in the window there, and they rejected it. And he's in contract next year.
Just shows you how much money PSG's got that they can do that.
World's gone nuts, man.
And our transfer budget for a whole year is probably about 15 million quid. So that's the parameters that we kind of have to deal in. And people probably wonder why we spoke about that. But again, it's the investment that I think Celtic deserve, and I think it's going to happen. And I think we need to kind of wake up to that. As we spoke about, these guys like Desmond and Lowell as a shareholder won't be around forever. And eventually, as we said, a new owner will come in, whenever that'll be. Who knows? We're just talking in terms of that kind of the players we could bring in, that kind of investment. But to move back on the club matters and things that it is quite pressing. Obviously, the restructure that we were promised still hasn't happened, albeit McElhone has come in as the head of sports science after Jack Naylor left about 2 years ago. So we've managed to replace one position. But the likes of a director of football that we've kind of been promised as well, the head of recruitment, there's still nobody there. Postecoglou still doesn't have a nailed-on assistant manager. I mean, Kennedy's there, but again, no one knows his title. That hasn't been confirmed. And Michael Nicholson, the new chief executive, taking over from Donny Mackay, hasn't spoken a word to the Celtic fans. So he's promoted within, and many believe he was Peter Lawwell's kind of puppet. So that doesn't bode well for me. But coming to yourself there, William, first on this restructuring thing that we were kind of promised when that whole the fan press conference, Dominic Mackay saying Celtic need to be world class, Celtic need to be this, blah, blah, blah. It hasn't happened. He's moved on. We'll never know the reasons why. But do you think, again, the Celtic fans have been sold down a river by the board?
In a word, yes. We were all excited start of the year when start of the season, I should say, when Don Mackay was in these press conferences you're alluding to, and he was our messiah, if you like, and he was going to turn the club from bottom to top. And him and Postecoglou's relationship, it seemed like they were on the same page and everything was moving forward. And at that point we thought, Ange, we'll get some backroom staff in and we'll fill these positions at head of recruitments and everything. And now it's just a mess. We're in a worse place than we were before Ange and stuff came through with regards to the upstairs and the backroom staff. So, I mean, you've got this guy coming in from another side of the world. He's been fantastic for us, and in the pressers he's great. But I mean, I don't understand. Imagine the pressure that he's feeling under now, especially with Dom going, with Mackay going and stuff like that. It's just an absolute mess, an absolute catastrophe. It's a dog's dinner. But I mean, when I heard Mackay went, it wasn't even a shock, because nothing this board does now, and obviously we can speculate, and I don't know what happened, but even if you take the Mackay situation out of the fold, it's the head of recruitments and the backroom staff, and that we're still not got, and we're months and months into the season from where we were. This should have all been, even before all the house stuff started, this should have all been sorted. And with regards to the whole, we were talking about, and the rumours were director of football for months and months. We've still not seen anything with regards to that either. It's just, but it's got to the point now that you're not even shocked or surprised. It's just an acceptance, and just like, just hopefully the boys keep doing it on the pitch, and all that stuff will come to fruition afterwards and sort itself out. The main things, the gaffer and what's happening on the pitch, and hopefully he gets a bit more back in January, because I still think we need it. Still think we need strengthening. If they keep doing the business, then I'm hoping all that other stuff will take care of itself. But yeah, it's difficult to even comment on, because it is just such a mess.
in a word for me, it's an absolute disgrace, William. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, the most pressing thing here, the only change that we can see physically is Postecoglou. And for me, that's mental. I still don't understand the fact that he hasn't been allowed at the same kind of things that we're going to give Eddie Howe in terms of bringing in people. Is it even one guy as an assistant? Do you know what I mean? I feel like for him, Francis, it must be very lonely when he looks around, because Dominic Mackay's left and William made a great point. It seemed like them two were on the same page, that they were talking about the same things, they were going forward together, and we were led to believe they were working on transfers and stuff from day one when he came in. And Dominic Mackay leaves, fair enough. Michael Nicholson comes in, promoted within. Again, it's the same old authority figures there. You've got Ian Bankier as chairman. There was rumours he was meant to be stepping down, but again, that didn't come to fruition. And it's as William said, it's mental, the fact that a club like Celtic has no structure behind the scenes, and they're purely relying on the fact that Celtic, as a club, the football players on the pitch, can get them through this. Otherwise, it'll just be another disaster of a season. In all honesty,
Well, fingers crossed it's not a disaster. But William
off the pitch.
Yeah, William used a really good word, and I'm probably guilty of it. It's just the situation as a whole, above, like, in boardroom, like the back room, is acceptance. I think a big part of the Celtic fan base, and I include myself in that, I've kind of just accepted this is how it is at Celtic. That we don't hear from the board. I'm not saying Celtic fans are entitled to hear from the board. We can ask questions. It's on the board to answer them if they choose. But just the way things seem to be run, we have accepted it, and I think that is maybe one of the biggest problems. The board, they know that you'll get fans, you'll get podcasts and stuff. Some of them will bring it up and discuss it, and maybe and sort of air their views at how they discuss, but it's not enough to sort of get a movement. I feel like to get enough sort of backing to get change, but it's the pot, like, it's just it's not good. It doesn't look good. Obviously, Dom Mackay leaves so early in his tenure. On the face of it, he was doing everything right. Like, we hanged on it every last word for him, believed it all. It was, and by all accounts, it could have been doing it, all this stuff. Maybe was none of his doing. How where Celtic are, maybe he was doing a really poor job. I doubt it. It didn't seem that way. And maybe the board said that you need to go. It's not working. But the way the board dilly-dallied with Eddie Howe and stuff, I don't believe that's the case, that they would move so quickly to dispose of Dominic Mackay if things aren't going the way they would hope it. I truly believe he was trying to make a change that they weren't comfortable with. It was so drastic, I believe. It didn't look at the time, but I think he was trying to do things. And just going by the historics of the board, I think he was maybe want to make too much a change, try to modernise it maybe too much. He might have been looking into the whole getting investment type things in, and like the fan pressures have soon stopped. I believe they don't get them as much now anyway. So that you can clearly see that was a Don thing. And and to touch on Postecoglou as well, like, if he's got to be getting his own backroom stuff, why was used international break to get guys in? You could have got some of his stuff in, because a lot of the sort of quarantine has been lifted in certain places and stuff. So he could have had guys in and just helped him on the training ground for 10 days in this international break, because it'll be hard for him to sort of get his message across. But if you've got one or two other guys that are fully committed to Postecoglou, that's another one or two voices telling the team this is what we want to do and stuff. So I'm hoping he's not sort of agreed in the terms of like what Lennon was, where Lennon just accepted that he was going to be the manager, and I hope Postecoglou's not seen it as, we all know he was obviously Australian manager, he's had big jobs in the past, but in Europe it's like, as a club, Celtic are massive, and I'm hoping he's not just accepted it on their terms, and I'm not to just believe that Postecoglou's he's still got Kennedy and Strachan on trial, so to speak, but it seems a strange one that he's not got anyone in, but I think it just goes back to that word that Williams, acceptance. A lot of the fan base, myself, as I said, myself included, have just accepted the way Celtic seem to run things, and I think that's their downfall, and it's coming to roost now, I think.
I think we were promised like a whole restructure, right? It's like you can't just change the manager.
No.
Just the manager, by the way. No background staff like we're talking.
Player aside, William, the only new face we've got is Postecoglou, really.
Yeah. All the upstairs, like it's like anything in any business or any, you see in committees in your local council and stuff like that as well, sometimes it just needs new, fresh ideas to come in, and when there's no restructure at the top, because there's not, it's all the same people that are there, nothing's going to change. The only thing that has changed is the manager. No background staff, just the manager, and obviously a turnaround in players. And by the way, in my opinion, we've got a weaker squad this season than we did last season. Last season, we should have won everything because it's the same squad that won treble after treble, and we didn't. So all this positivity and we're moving forward and Celtic's this and that and restructure, we're all getting excited at the start of the season. We're in a worse place now than we were last year. Yes, we've got a better manager. I think I feel we've got a weaker squad, and it's still all of those. I hate what I'm saying. All these idiots up the stair, controlling things with their using people as pawns. It needs ripped out from the top. New people in, like Mackay. I'm devastated he's gone, because his enthusiasm got me excited, and the stuff he was talking about and his ideas and what he was looking to do moving forward was very exciting. And the fact that he's looking at other models, and it's not just us being dinosaurs, which I feel like a lot of the board are, dinosaurs resting on our laurels thinking, I don't need to splash cash, or I don't need to do this. We're going to win league after league every season anyway, which is what happened last year. Resting on our laurels because we've been so successful. That same team will just win everything. It's not... players don't come stagnant. I've said it 100 times before. Alex Ferguson was the best at it. He could see it coming. He made big decisions. He got rid of big players because he could see, no, not our board. We'll just everything's rosy. Why touch something? Why there's no brokens? Don't try and fix it. No, you need to move with the times. You need to have a structure. You need to have ideas in place. You need to have a 5-year plan. We've not even got a fucking 2-month plan, because as soon as Lennon had gone, there was no plan whatsoever. We were all stuck in a rut in the same position for months and months on end, and it's just this whole resting on our laurels thing, and it is an acceptance now. We're just like, and this is why when you talk about these people, new people coming in and investment, you get excited because you want rid of this. I don't even know how to explain it. This rot that's rotting us from inside out in the club, and it's horrible to see. And I'm not big on the politics and that side of it, as you could probably tell. But I'm the football man. I just want to see my team playing football. But when you hear all these stories and you hear what's going on, and then you start to see it and you start to look into it, it's hard to look away from it. I mean, as long as these clowns are in charge, we're not going to move forward, and there's not going to be progression. And like I say, I think we're in a worse spot now than we have been in a long time, and that's including the tail end of last season when we had a disaster.
You talk about progression, William. It's like we won 9 titles in a row, which is fantastic. We should have been light years ahead of our nearest rivals, and look how quick they've turned that round.
Exactly. That's
got to lie at guys that are up above.
For however long, for the third title, it was all about 10 in a row. It shouldn't have been. It should have been about 15, 20 in a row. It should have been about... That was the holy grail. It should have been, no, let's bury everybody in this league and
had the perfect opportunity.
Let's dominate. And it's like I go back again, resting on our laurels. And this goes back to we've talked about it for years and years about making certain signings, like you've said, McGinn's and all the rest of it. It's a matter of why should we splash the cash, because we're going to win the league every season anyway. Well, I hate to tell you, but we're not. because we've seen the struggles already this season, and as much as we're all enthusiastic and we want to see us do well, this squad is looking very thin, and without investment, without a vision, without progression, who's to say football's a very tough sport. It can change in the drop of a hat. You can be top of the world one day, and then the next day you're not. You look at other clubs. Man United haven't won a league title since Alex Ferguson was in charge. You need people at the top that know what they're doing and have a clear plan. It's not just about what's happening today and tomorrow. It's about what's happening in 5-10 years' time, and that's not happening because we've got dinosaurs up the stairs, and they're just sitting in their heated seats in the executive suite watching every game. Fucking just give the club to somebody who is passionate about us and wants us to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I could listen to you guys speak back and forth there all. I thought you all made great points. And one thing I want to say, you made a great point, Francis, in terms of Rangers catching us up and in that short space of time and then get back in the league. I believe Celtic are like they were when they first come up in terms of the squad and in terms of the depth. And William says our squad's light, and it really is. And you look around in the league, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, albeit we beat them, Motherwell as well. They've made a great start. They've all beefed up their squad, and do you know what I mean? They're starting at 11. Some Hearts and Hibs especially, they're at the top end of the league, and we're sitting sixth when that should be us up there, and we're kind of battling to get up to the top end of the table, and it's absolutely crazy. And you look at the boardroom level. Ian Bankier, Peter Law is still there. I don't know what he's doing, but he's a shareholder. They've got Michael Nicholson, and they're all the Prawn Sammys brigade. And as William said, they're sitting in them seats, clapping and cheering when it suits them, but seeing the pressure's on, they shit themselves and put fences around Celtic Park, and that's the kind of the harsh reality of it. When the Celtic fans tried to protest, they were lambasted, they were condoned, they were called everything, and albeit I didn't agree with obviously the kind of throwing stuff in that Ross County game. That shouldn't have happened, but a protest against the board at any club is allowed to happen. We've seen it, the likes of Blackpool down in England, Newcastle as well with Mike Ashley. Why is it so bad when Celtic fans want to voice their opinion against the regime they're under? I don't understand it. The way them fences around Celtic Park, it was a total disgrace. The fans were alienated, and the only person that's brought us together, as you guys say, is Postecoglou. Otherwise, it'd be the same old, and that's quite scary because we've sold out season tickets again. We sold them out last year when no fans were in the stadium. And what are the board giving us, William? It's a bit, as I said there at the start, they have sold us out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about them. It's the most frustrating thing, and I can understand what Newcastle fans felt about Mike Ashley because I'm feeling the same boat ourselves. And a lot of people will think, oh, you lose a few games and you think you can protest or moan or whatever. But it's not just about that. It's just the way the club's been run and however long. You talk about our history and like the charity and all that sort of stuff. This board doesn't scream anything like that, and they haven't done for a long time. No,
I think it's time for a fresh change. And the reason why I give that to you, William, wanted to join in a wee freeway conversation there, but surely. I'll just be next time. Use it a new deadly duo. Thanks, Fran. No, but look, again, we all have our opinions on the board. Many Celtic fans, it's all divided. We all have different opinions, and that's all welcome. So that's fair enough. But we'll move on back to the game again at Fair Park on Saturday, and we'll kind of round up the show with a score prediction, lineup prediction, like we used to before this international break came. It feels like a long time, but comment to yourself, Francis. Lineup prediction first before we go on to the scores.
Well, I think the back four picks itself. Well, Hartland goals in. I think Ralston will play, but I'm basing that on I don't know where Juranovic is on his fitness. I don't know if he's fit. If he's fit, he plays, and then it'll be Starfelt, Carter, Vickers. I think Montgomery will come in. Keep his place. The midfield, I would stick with Beaton just on his performance against Aberdeen. I think he added balance into the midfield, so it worked. Then obviously McGregor and Turnbull will play, and then you've also got Iota, Abada, and Kyogo up front. So no real surprises from me, Stephen. I don't think.
And your score prediction?
I'm going to go for a comfy, no drama free 2-0.
Oh, very nice. What about yourself, William? Line up first.
I think we'll line up the exact same way we played against Aberdeen. So the same lineup, although Starfelt still hasn't proven himself worthy for me. I think if anything, he's a glorified Beaton at the back. I think I talk about the press and stuff like that, and which is great. But he's not the man for that. I feel like it's so easy for an attacker just to pin him in and just turn him, and then they've got 40 yards to run into towards the goal because he's diving into tackles. And I feel so sorry for Welsh because I don't think he's put a foot wrong, and I don't think he did before. The only reason Starfelt's playing for me is because Postecoglou's had to shell out money for him, and he can't not play him.
100% agree with that.
So, but I think he will play him. The midfield three, I thought Beaton did fairly well against Aberdeen, and we do need that protection. I think Franny's touched on it a few times. I think McCarthy is going to be that man at some point, but he's obviously still not up to match fitness, or God knows whatever it is. Because I think if you're a professional football player, you should be fit enough to play. If you're training however many times a week, you should be fit enough to play football games. Anyway, McGregor and Turnbull, again, I think Calmack's been an absolute... I think giving him the captaincy is just a new lease of life in him. I think he's been absolutely tremendous this year, and for Scotland as well, he's just an absolute warrior in there. And I like the fact, I touched on it before when we talked about Rogic coming in, and even though he did a superb job in the number 6, he's a number 8 all day long, and he gives us, and he's our legs, he's our machine, he's everything revolves around him in the middle of the park, so he needs to be that box to box, that number 8. And the front three has got to be Jota, Abada and Kyogo. They've been fantastic this year, so I think he'll go with the same as Aberdeen. I would play Welsh at centre half instead of Starfelt, but it's not going to happen. So
I'd be the same one, but I don't think it'll happen.
What about scores, William?
I'll go 3-1.
3-1. 3-1. So 2-0 on the 3-1. I mean, my line-up's going to sound a bit left field here, but I'm going to go Hart, Juranovic, Carter Vickers, Starfelt, Montgomery, only because Scales had to do that travelling, so I don't think he'll be starting that. A midfield free of Beaton, McGregor, Kyogo as the number 10 off the front, and the front three as Jota on the left, Giamakis to get his first start for physical presence of front part up front,
bold,
with Abada on the right. That's what
bold,
I like. It is bold. But the fact is, I spoke about it in the last show. I want to see that partnership to see if it can be anything. And Kyogo can play across the front, and the number 10 role might suit him, running from deep, making them runs in behind. But again, it's my lineup. It won't happen. I'm not paying to make. I mean, as you guys say, they're Welsh. I think he's been dealt with harshly. I think he probably should have kept his place above Starfelt. But again, the money spent on him, he kind of needs to start. And when Julian comes back, that'll be an interesting kind of tussle there to see who'll get the starting 11 place. But my score prediction, I'll go with a 2-1 to Celtic, and I'll go with the goal scorers as Kyogo getting one and McGregor getting the other. And just briefly come to you guys, William, what's your goal scorers?
Kyogo will get 2 and Abada.
And your
men this year, so.
And yourself?
Oh, sorry. Kyogo, and I think Jota's got to score one that will not hit the bar this time. He's got to score a screamer that will not hit the bar.
Well, look, guys, that brings us to the end of the show. I mean, it's been a great show. Club football's back. Have you enjoyed this one?
That's been brilliant. Good to hear William back as well.
But similar to last year with the board bashing, but we got there in the end. It's been good.
Well, look, it's been a great show nonetheless. And to everyone who's listening, stay well and keep safe. Hail, hail.